Welcome to the Golden Nuggets.
This podcast is brought to you by Reka Studio. If you are struggling with creating content because you have no time, you don't know how to, and you are lacking of ideas, this is for you. For just $1, here's how Reka Studio can create 8 reels for you for 1 whole month. And the best part is, it'll only take 3 hours of your time. First, the Reka team researches your industry and creates a custom content guide, including everything from the best SEO keywords, top videos in your niche, and the best topics for you to speak on to connect with your audience. Secondly, we have a recording process that allows us to record high quality videos that looks professional and it'll only take minutes to set up. Thirdly, our team handles all the editing, so each video holds your audience attention while still being authentic. Fourth, our team will schedule the post to your selected platforms on autopilot. And the best part is, all this for just $1 to get you started. We can only slot in 5 more clients, so visit tgnpodcast.com/Reka to find out more. Terms and conditions apply. Nuggets, back to the episode.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Golden Nuggets podcast, and today we are in part 2 with Edric still.
Yeah. Edric, so earlier you were talking about how you actually structure your entire sales call. Mm-hmm. Can we break that down? Let's say you're selling, because I think you mentioned a lot about selling training events and basically event seats, right? Maybe can you give us an example of how you actually do it?
Okay, so firstly, before I do this, this was done quite a number of years ago, so I may be a little bit rusty, right, about that. But I would tell you that if you were to watch The Wolf of Wall Street, the way he does it, right, Jordan Belfort. Yeah. Now, his method is called the straight line persuasion system, right, which is also very much similar to selling with NLP, neuro linguistic programming. Yep. Right. So that being said, the steps that were taken were very clear, which is number one is, of course, it's about your tonality, right? Mm-hmm. It's make sure that you have good energy, that you're approachable, so you don't go, "Hi, I'm calling from so-and-so. I'm working for a deadbeat job, which I hate. Would you like to buy from me?" Obviously not. Yes. That's not going to happen, right? So you got to be a little bit more upbeat, but you also have to have a sensing of who you're calling, right? If you know that this person is high energy guy or high energy lady or person, you address that in the same way. You mirror and you match that, right? And you build rapport as you're doing that. You find the right pace. You basically match the pacing as well. Yes. So all those things. When somebody says hi in a certain way, you go, "Hey, hi," and you wait for that person to respond. They're like, "Oh, is there? Sorry, you need? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was just getting onto this because I so and so. Am I speaking with so and so?" Number one is saying hi. Number two is always confirming who you're speaking with first and the position that the person is. Because if, let's say, for example, I'm calling for Jun Tan, for example. Okay, names made up are purely fictitious. Anything similar, dead or alive or not, whatever. So I'm calling Jun Tan, and there are 3 Jun Tans in this company. I could be calling the wrong one. I could, I could be calling. I instead of calling, let's say, for example, the head of learning and development. Here I am talking to, I don't know, an operational manager from somewhere. So that's completely different. Yes. Wrong person, and all of a sudden you spend 10 minutes trying to sell this person something, and then finally you feel like an idiot because you've been barking up the wrong tree. So, greetings. Check confirm who you're speaking with first. Ask for permission after that. Hey, I'm calling regarding this thing. I just wanted to know whether or not you've got a couple of minutes for this. Do you have 30 seconds actually? I just want to get your take on this. Or either way is that you can name drop a little bit. Oh, I was just speaking with so and so, of a whatever company, and he or she had mentioned this particular survey was very useful for this industry. I just like to get your thoughts on it. Not really trying to sell you anything here. You got 30 seconds because I'd like to get your take on this. They'd probably say yes. Okay, you've put your foot in the door. Door is open. Jun Tan welcomes you in. Yep. You're allowed to speak now. Okay, so plan your value proposition to that person and make sure that it's on point. Okay. Don't need to go the long route. Yeah, shoot the shit. Just tell them what it is, what this is about, and then after that, transit into whatever it is that we have So, for example, remember the survey I was talking about just now? Yeah, these are the stats. And hey, what are your thoughts on that? And they'll tell you, okay, so we're actually inviting this group of individuals, right, or this group of professionals coming down for this session. And you'll probably get very interested in this topic. There's a couple of things here. Hey, do you want to get a copy of the agenda so that we can talk about this? And they say, yeah, sure, whatever. And what I was taught as in telesales was that don't email it to me.
Okay.
Don't email it to me in the first 30 seconds to a minute, because that obviously means that they're brushing you off.
Rejection, yeah.
So how do you handle that? Hey, okay, tell you what, for this particular thing, right, that's happening right now, there are a couple of seats left. Do you want to soft book anything, or do you think that there are people in your team who might be interested? I can't really think of anyone. Okay, tell you what, if you don't see anybody, what about yourself? So all this is part of the objection handling, right? Yeah. So this is the process of the sales, the sales process that you have to go through step by step. And the straight line persuasion system talks about moving to an objection, moving back to the place that they were comfortable with, working that, and moving along forward again.
Okay.
Right? Until you reach the goal, which is the close.
Yes.
So whenever you hit a rejection, go back to the previous step, move it forward, go back to the previous step, move it forward. So you're inching your way toward
closing.
So that is their method, right?
Okay.
So I've been following that a lot. But again, this is a very dated way of doing things, because although it still works, I have to say. And one thing I do have to mention to the audience is that this was a method that was used in the 2000s.
Yes.
Right?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s. And that's why I've been using that. But over time, I began to realize that system didn't fully work for me because it was too formulaic. What I realized was that I was looking at it as a transaction.
Okay.
And I didn't apply the value or didn't input enough value to the prospect. So that's when I moved from transactional to relationship selling.
Okay.
Right? So the important thing the important thing here that I just like to highlight to the audience is that, yes, the steps remain the same. You're still working your way toward the close, but the important factor here is that we're focusing on building rapport in the relationship first, because that's the one that will keep them coming back. Right? So I don't have to sell you anything. I just want to get to know you and all that. That's the important part. Okay. So again, if you do happen to watch the straight line persuasion system, again, and many of the other, and many of the other sales books out there, they'll always tell you that rapport, relationships are the most important things. But to what level? To what degree? We don't ask these questions most of the time.
Yeah.
I love what was said before, which was, I need to know your family. I need to know how many kids you have. I need to know what kind of cars, boats, horses, what you like and what you don't like. I have to know you to that extent. So which means that every client, especially for those who are doing direct one-to-one sales, right, must know their clients
very
that
well.
well. I must know your kids' birthdays. I need to know your birthday. I need to, so if, let's put it this way, if you had an insurance agent who goes, hey man, your birthday's coming up, what do you want to do? Like, what the?
Cool, right?
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep.
I've never had an insurance agent call me and say it's your birthday. Okay, now probably everybody's going to start calling. But the point is, now your agent becomes your friend.
Yes.
And what does that mean? That your agent now will call you up and always be there to give you that financial advice when you need it. In fact, one of the most passive things, I think, for us as customers is that we don't actively go to our agents.
Yes.
Most of the time we wait for the agent to call us. Hey, this thing, you want to improve, you want to increase this or not. But we don't call them and say, hey, how do I invest this thing? How do I grow my investment?
Yeah.
But if you had a relationship and you talked about it enough, you know that they would call you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's the piece of advice that I would want to give. And I would want to see more insurance agents and financial consultants do this. so that you build enough rapport that your customers are calling you, that they want to invest, they want better products, they want to do this. Can you work this out for me? I think that's the secret.
Okay. We backtrack a bit about you comparing between then and now. You mentioned that telesales right now is not as effective as back then because I think times have changed. And the issue right now we are facing is a lot of people also tend to not pick up their phone nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
And when we talk about the younger generations, they always get freaked out when they receive phone call.
Scams.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, how do we like overcome this issue? And how do you right now running your own business still apply the steps that you actually mentioned before, and at the same time not using the phone call method, but perhaps do you email them or do you WhatsApp them, or what is it that you do now?
Well, I think asking for permission is always the first thing that I do. Hey, which is the how would you prefer that we communicate? You know, it's a very fundamental question. It may seem silly almost to ask, right?
Yeah.
Like communication, most people say,
Basic,
just talk to me lah, call me lah, message me lah. You know, it's like, yeah, okay. At first, it may sound very stupid, but when you think about it, right, it means a lot because you respect my preference.
Yeah.
So that's an important step. How would you prefer to do that? Look in all the marketing stuff that is done online now. Which one do you prefer?
Email, SMS.
WhatsApp, phone call.
Yeah.
Apply the same thing. Ask them. Of course, you don't have to be so robotic about it. Oh, how would you like to do this, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, hey, how would you like to keep this conversation going? Email me? Yeah, sure. Hey, do you mind if I give you a call now just to follow up on or to tell you a little bit more? Because sometimes the emails, right, may have all the information, but you have questions.
Yes.
So it's easier for us to talk on the phone. You okay with that? Just answer.
Okay. So that means now the first step becomes what is the best mode of communication with that person.
Yeah. Correct. Because the fact is that they're willing to tell you means that they should be willing to communicate with you.
Yeah.
If not, they just say none of the above.
Or they don't check anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much it, you know, about I think in today's context, right, where as a business owner now, I don't necessarily make that many phone calls. You know, okay, I think you have two camps of people.
Yeah.
One is that you still have to grind, you still have to,
Yes.
you know, keep hitting that phone, right? Make sure that the phone bill is you know, you get you get back your investment on buying this phone or voice over IP, whatever. The other one is that how do I just go to the right networking sessions? You know, I think you guys have been to a lot of networking sessions.
We met
right?
in the networking
Yeah,
section.
correct. So, but at the start, right, it's like, do you choose all networking? You choose everything, right? You just go and try.
We try everything. Yeah.
Which is, but you go for the free ones, right? Most of the time, and then you go for the paid ones. What is the main difference? Well, to y'all, what's the main difference between the free ones and the main ones and the paid ones?
I think it depends because paid ones also have different tiers. But ultimately, to me, I feel that in Singapore, this is my opinion. In Singapore, a lot of people do not take networking events as a proper networking event. They do not really connect to people. It's always about what can I get out of this whole thing, and that to me, I feel like joining a networking group just for that, I think it's a bit ridiculous because you'll be thinking of what you can get out of me. I'll be thinking of that with you. So what's the point of calling it networking then? Yeah, that is my point of view.
Okay,
Right.
interesting point. So, what about yourself, Ashwin?
Okay, on that case, I think they are not farming. They are like hunting in the networking group. So for me, it's a balance between both lah. Because you want to get something of them, but you need to also make yourself known.
Yeah.
So free and paid, I always feel that it's like the concept where it's in you know, you're subscribing to a gym. You know, you always find value when you pay something, although you didn't go, but you pay because you find more value in paid stuff. So I mean, doesn't mean that free is not good, but sometimes free is better than paid ones. So it's probably a mix of. I mean, it's hard to actually judge, but no, we need to know only when we go there and then explore. Okay, I've been to this. I don't think I'm coming again, but probably this is something that I learned from. So yeah, that's probably what I think of paid and free groups.
Yeah. I mean, I love those points because when personally, it's not so arbitrary as in like, oh, it's either paid or free, right? You go for each of them, you give it a shot. But both of you have super valid points, because it is all this, right, basically means for our audience who is listening right now, they can now understand better that they have to not judge, but they have to really suss out what these people who they're meeting are there for. Are they there to really make friends with me, that they can help me in some ways and we can learn from each other, which is i.e. networking, to propel us together, right? Or you have something to offer, I have something to offer, let's take advantage of that, right? So, and there are also some which is a zero-sum game. I win, you lose, right? I want your business, and that's it.
Yeah.
So which kind of crowd are you willing to go with? Are you willing to swim with sharks, or are you looking for something that's more collaborative? So it really depends, right, on what your preferences are.
Yeah.
And again, personally, there are some, I think, environments that you swim with the sharks, you feel like, maybe it's not for me.
Yeah.
But then there are also some that you go, okay, these people are just here to have a good time, but they got nothing to offer. Also, maybe not for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's really your thing. So you got to find your niche, you got to find your crowd, and after which, then you can, I guess, find your tribe in some ways. But the important thing is make sure you put yourself out there. The thing is, if you don't go for any networking sessions at all, you have zero chance of doing it, right? So it's making sure that you do that. And back to the point of whether or not, do you still want to call? Yes, you can do that, but I would much rather use my time more wisely, meet the people who can introduce me to other people. Knowing that we have similar circles, not similar circles, but circles of influence that are advantageous to me, and likewise, does my circle of influence help you as well?
Yep.
If we can do that, then you and I can be happy, have coffee every time, and we can talk business and also share leads properly.
Yes.
Win-win.
Win-win, exactly. So to me, that's the sweet spot. It's very hard to find.
Yeah.
Agree.
So it's interesting when you talk about this, because you also started the Podcasters Playground.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Was that your intention? You want to find that sweet spot, and you want to make sure that other people can benefit from that sweet spot that you're talking about?
Okay, so the Podcasters Playground was purely a passion project. Well, these are a lot of P's today. Podcasters Playground is purely a passion project, right? Use that for your tongue twisters. Now, the Podcasters Playground, right, for those who don't know, is a local group of individuals, of course, ourselves as podcasters. We come together and we get to know each other and each other's podcasts. The idea here is that I took a page out of like what Joe Rogan is doing, right? He gets all the comedians together, uses his platform to do that, and promote each other. They go on, then from there they have a networking to help each other to get onto each other's podcasts, cross promote, and it's very good, right? To do that, to be able to get more visibility that way.
Yeah.
But the strange thing is that nobody does it.
In Singapore.
Yeah, in Singapore. I don't get it. So one of the things that I felt like, podcasting is a very lonely thing. You don't really make money from it, right? You have to invest in equipment. You have to put in the time to do all these things, to do these wonderful productions for people like you to listen and watch. Okay, and you don't know hours and hours and hours that gets put into it for the research, the guesting. I had to cancel on these guys twice because I fell sick because my weak ass couldn't come here. Okay,
We appreciate you having here. Yeah.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. So the thing is, the playground really was for us as the playground, as what you would expect from a playground, is that we're here to play, we're here to experiment, we're here to help each other, and be together as a community, right? But the bigger dream of that whole thing is part of the community play that I would really like to see, is that how can I help podcasters get paid? Can I get them in as moderators? Can I give them opportunities to host different small time or larger community or corporate events? We're finding talent. And I've made it very clear to every one of you. You all heard this directly from me, right? And every podcaster who joins the playground knows that I am not profiteering from this. And I told you straight, anything that comes up, right, the money goes straight to you. That's the idea. And if that can happen, great. But right now we've got about 30 people, I think, in the playground. So it's growing. We're always getting, the lovely thing is that everybody is like texting, hey, this person would be great in the playground. This person would be great in the playground. So now I have to do like an interview process each time to see if they fit. So shout out to everybody in the Podcasters Playground. Love you guys so much for being part of this and continue to feed us, right, with more recommendations so that we can keep growing this community and this pool of talent. Because again, who doesn't want to get paid for podcasting?
Yes.
Right? That's been the dream.
So that's the thing. I mean, what you envision is what I feel can really benefit a lot of businesses out there. But putting the money in, that is the challenge for them. Because a lot of them may feel like, okay, like for us, we know that generally when we talk about podcasting, it's the top of the funnel. But they are always so focused on the bottom of the funnel to be able to immediately convert to sales. And that is something podcast is not really the place for them to actually look at. So how do you think we can actually start to monetize much more easily in the near future, considering we have a larger number of podcasters in Singapore that's coming up?
Okay, so a great question. The idea here is that we can't do it alone, number one, right? And consistency is key. You have to keep doing it in order for you to have a base. Nobody is going to pay you X amount of dollars if you have 3 episodes, right? And 0 following.
Yeah.
So again, why do you do the difference between direct to consumer or B2C and also B2B? What is the influence that you have? That's number one. Number two is that, are you able to bring in the people who have the influence if you don't? One of the things that I've been sharing with all people that I work with is that, for me, look, you can check out my channel or whatever. I don't have a lot of subscribers, but
Subscribe to Edric, guys.
thanks. I don't have a lot of subscribers, but it doesn't bother me, right? I'm not trying to be the next whatever. That's never been the ambition. But the idea here is that, do I have the confidence to say that I'm going to be bringing in this level of guests in the future? You start small, but you keep moving there. So the idea here is this: you may be, at a certain level now, but one day, if you're able to bring in authors, actors, producers, directors, C-suites, Elon Musk, right?
Yep.
Immediately, your valuation goes up. I've interviewed Elon Musk, right? So I think that's what we should aspire to go toward, rather than, how do I, be famous on TikTok? You're here for the content, right? So you can leverage on the platform, but you gotta remember where you are and who you are. Because for podcasters, podcasting is one of the most authentic ways of connecting with an audience. You cannot bluff people on a podcast, right? On video, everything is scripted. It can be done. But on a podcast, things are not exactly scripted. People can ask you hard questions. I think that the audience, right, is so much smarter, right? It's not War of the Worlds anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People,
natural.
yeah, this is real. If you don't understand the reference of War of the Worlds, it's because it was played on radio. People actually thought aliens were destroying the world, okay? When that radio drama was going on. So that being said. Okay, so yeah. So because of that, right, I still think that podcasting is the way to go to connect your brand, your business to the community that you really, really want to target. If you do that well and you're able to bring in the people of influence and they can raise your level as well, that's the way to go.
But that's the thing, like you as a business owner, and also you are in the podcasting scene, you understand the cost that it takes to actually produce a content. It's very high. So if you as a business owner, you feel like, hey, rather than I pay this podcast for maybe like 5,000 a month, I would rather use this 5,000 a month to pump into Facebook ads to get immediate leads. A lot of them will appreciate that more. But for you, what is your take, or what is your answer to them when they give you this kind of objection or rejection?
By all means, go ahead. Obviously, you're not the right customer for me, because if that is your priority, go ahead. It means that you may not necessarily see the content angle that we've talked about. The idea here is this: do you want to associate yourself with higher value in terms of your content, or are you just trying to play the numbers game again?
Sales, yeah.
Right? Just because eyeballs don't mean conversions.
Yep.
That's just that simple. But again, I'm not one to say that you can't do either. If you had the budget to do both, please do.
Yeah.
Right? But truth be told, what is the priority? Is your priority to, again, push for your Facebook ads, to push for the visibility, or is your idea to leverage on a platform so that you can fully communicate what your brand, your business, and is trying to do for your community? I think that, to me, is where the angle is different.
Right. That sums up very nice to end the part 2, guys. And Edric has thrown, I think, tons of nuggets in part 2. So let's proceed to part 3, guys. And thank you guys for listening. See you on the next one. Bye.